Fairness, thus, thinking about that big other thing, it's not just moral philosophers who've been wrestling with it. There's also behavioural psychologists who've been taking, and I cited all in the book, a myriad of kind of experiments in which essentially we know that across cultures and from a very, very early age, people have an embedded notion that actually they formulate an intent, it results in something that happens in the world, which is more good or less good, and you expect approbation or penalty in consequence. I mean, a baby has this, and actually from no accident, as I said in my book, that actually there isn't a civilization which doesn't, when it thinks about justice, have it as a pair of scales. Because of course you are trying to calibrate a tariff of penalty for actually the intensity of the poor act. And I think the same is true, by the way, in terms of reward. That there should be some people accept that there's a relationship between reward and contribution. And indeed in this, interestingly, I am with the young Marx who critiqued the French socialists in their Gotha program in the 1840s, who came up with the slogan, falsely actually, associated with Marx and Marxism, and which the left has laboured from, I think, for over 150 years, which is this desert-free notion, from each according to his ability, to each according to his/her need. And Marx really went to, after the French socialists, hard. He said this is an impossible notion, it's completely unfair. It means that the worker who works hard will not get his due deserts. It means the worker who shirks will have no penalty. We cannot organise an industrial civilization around such a principle in the here and now conditions of the 1840s. We may, in 150, 200 years after the Communist Revolution, get to such a place, but I'm not even certain about that. And I agree with the young Marx, and not actually with many on the European left who still are attached to that notion, which I think has led to unbelievable mistakes in the way we've tried to organise ourselves economically and socially. So you think about desert as being about, within those terms, and also think about proportionality. There is, of course, a highly egalitarian form of desert, which is the one I've just described, and a very libertarian view of desert, which we've seen the investment bankers profess when. I'm not going to get through this in 20 minutes. I'll bang on until about 5 to 10 past 1. I'll sit down. And you can boo me down, actually. Because I'm sure David's making notes, which is making me twitchy as I go on. Thankfully, he can't read them. So. But no, there's that egalitarian view of desert, which really is, from each according to her need, to each according to his ability. And then there's a libertarian view. I was very struck by Lloyd Blankfein when he was saying that what we're doing is God's work, and it is a very, hyper-Darwinian view of fairness, actually, and not unreasonable in its own terms. And all of you, at some stage in your lives, I'm sure will have tried this argument, probably with a parent in your adolescence. But the view is really that, look, I'm the hunter-gatherer. I went out of the cave. I took the I stalked the mammoth. I risked my life. I brought the bloody beast back through thick and thin. It's only fair that I sit in front of the mouth of the cave and gorge myself, and when I've had my fill, whatever's left over for you, that's fine dues. What I've done is God's work. It's only fair that everything I have is absolutely mine. A kind of John Lockean view of property, in a sense. I mean, it is an investment banker view of why. Compensation ratios should go even above 50%. Why the capitalists may put their money at risk to support this investment bank, but they don't matter a bugger. What matters is that I've been the person who did the killing, and I'm going to eat what I kill, and I'm going to have remuneration which is stunning by any normal criteria. I know the average salary of the investment banking community in Barcap, 21,000 people, is 234,000. I'm sure each one of them believes in a I eat what I kill philosophy. So and I think it's fair. So you've got a hyper-libertarian view of fairness and an egalitarian view of fairness. So what I've tried to do in the book, and indeed that's what I'm trying to do in my Fair Pay review, is to bind these two kind of philosophies together and to say that, yeah, organisations and societies are social. So although I have some sympathy for the notion that, I eat what I kill, nobody in any organisation, even in a cave, can rely solely on her sole efforts and believe that those are the only reasons why a good outcome has happened. We are social beings. We organise ourselves in, families, communities, firms, and good outcomes are inevitably collective. So there's some upper boundary, I think, on what people should make. This is why I'm quite very attracted to the notion of pay multiples and trying to kind of benchmark pay multiples between firms and between sectors as a way of actually capturing the notion that there should be some upper boundary. I don't believe that Martin Sorrell, whose pay is 1,100 times the median worker in WPP, really is worth 1,100 times the median worker in WPP. And I certainly don't think that some of the kind of a CEO of a local authority turnover 2-3 billions, making 150,000, whose multiple is 6 or 7 times, is really what Martin Sorrell does. 1,100 times the median pay of a worker in WPP, worth so much more than that of a local authority running a complex organisation. There is some, and once you start to pose questions in these terms, I think we start to open a really good debate. I think